Good morning. I felt like I should take a moment to tap in and get vulnerable. I have been struggling a little bit lately with this vision of starting my own practice and utilizing these certificates that I've obtained. And I'm a part of a gene key sequence with a bunch of really close to my heart women. I guess a bunch would not be the right words. There's a handful of us though, and we've gotten quite close over the journey of the gene keys. And we started the prosperity sequence. And I think I lost sight of what the mission is. So I decided to restart the book. Right now we spent a lot of time in the vocation. We moved through the pathway of initiative, and now we are in the culture sphere. My vocation which means my core wound is the shadow of intolerance, the gift of understanding, and the city of forgiveness. I have come to the realization that a lot of the intolerance that I have been working through and becoming more conscious and aware of as time has gone on is directed inward. And what the beautiful thing about the vocation is we use the gift and we turn the shadow, what we learn in the shadow aspect with the core wound and the core gift, and we switch, and now it's what we bring to the world. So I am designed to bring the gift of understanding into the world, which is beautiful. But first I have to find understanding and compassion with myself. My favorite thing about it though is that I have been on a journey for quite some time of learning to bring understanding and compassion to myself. But something happened a few weeks back where I lost sight. Like I mentioned in the beginning, these certificates and these ideas and the idea of prosperity. But I moved back to the beginning of the book, and well, actually I could say that over the course of the last week and a half, I made the decision to get back to the basics, to start small. I realized that I was in so many different places in my mind at once and had all these expectations of myself. But the truth is that we have to start small, and that this is very internal, and then we can make it external. But first I have to learn how to make content. I have to learn to use my voice and how to share, and then gain the confidence behind that. I truly believe that I have the ability to be a channel for a beautiful message, especially with my history of substance use disorder and how I overcame those obstacles and got back into the flow of life, back into love and community, and finding people who love me and mirror me in the ways that I need. For a long time, I didn't have that love and community and those healthy mirrors, right? But the healthier we are, I believe the healthier the people we attract. And I genuinely also believe that we are who we spend time with, right? But what I wanted to describe to you is I got back to the beginning of the Gene Keys book, and I'm so grateful that I did the prosperity sequence, the very beginning. And then honestly, I even went back all the way to the Venus sequence, the beginning of the book, so I could start remembering some of the key aspects of the journey into the heart. But it's all about simplicity. It's all about embodiment. The vocation specifically is about the spine. And when we move through initiative, which is making our own fire, stepping into action, right? Believing and knowing our divinity and what we have to offer the world. And then we move into the culture sphere. And mine is magnetism, right? So like this beautiful magnetism when I am perceiving the world in the correct way, naturally I will attract my fractals, my people, and I will, that's the culture sphere, but I have to raise above this dullness, this shadow of dullness. And the city within this sphere is fluorescence, right? I can see my design in my world and in my life. Something I came to the realization of is I do really well as my little generator spirit, my sacral being, and my open head and open anja and open throat, is that I am inspired in conversation. I am inspired by the different things that I read, the different resources that I have, the different designs and modalities I am a part of. I am incredibly inspired when I take the time to spend in getting myself grounded and connected to God and spirit, and that's what I've decided to do. That is what the teaching is. But of course, as I explore my core wound, which turns into my vocation, my gift of understanding, because the gift is in the gift. Through understanding, I also have to remember I'm already doing this on a regular basis, being a certified recovery mentor, assisting people, planting seeds, building their lives. Naturally, I am a channel of a message of hope because I have overcome my addiction. I am living in the solution. I do have the tools to offer. But the intolerance, right? This core wound of intolerance. This last 2 weeks, I have caught myself living in this wound. Intolerance describes that we have one, it's very logic, it's very in the mind, not in the body. And there, it talks about how you can't see clarity because you're not looking at both sides of the argument, right? You're not seeing, it's like this black and white thinking where you can't see you choose not to see the other side of whatever it is, right? When I originally heard intolerance, I thought of intolerance of other people, like the times I've been incredibly defensive, which often is because of boundary violations. I didn't know what my boundaries were at one point in time, and honestly, I am still learning. It's the beautiful thing about relationship to others, is I get to learn about myself, what I need, what my needs, wants, and desires are. But this intolerance from myself and learning to love myself and become my authentic self. So I remembered a few things that are really important, and it is about simplicity, making time in the morning to connect with spirit, with God. The last few days since I reminded myself to come out of the mind into the body, I have been feeling my full body chills because I'm a major sensitive. Yesterday I did some breath work, and I've started my day with that throughout this week, and I'm actually going to do some after I make this video. But I was journaling, and something that has come into my heart recently is I know I am a channel. Oftentimes when I am in conversation, I can hear myself channeling a message that did not come from me, right? And I was writing about that, about simplicity, and reminding myself what was the original reason I wanted to make content. The original reason was because I know that I have a story. I know that I have a really powerful story. And I have overcome major obstacles, external and internal. And I was writing about the idea of simplicity and channeling and getting back to the basics and getting back into the body, and the importance of breath. And I sat down and decided to pull a card from one of my favorite decks, which is Work Your Light Oracle Cards by Rebecca Campbell. and literally Pleiades came out, and at the bottom it says double mission, channeling and uplifting humanity. And that felt so good to get right after I'd taken the time to connect with spirit, with my angels, with God. And I got to be reminded that all this chaos inside my brain, all these expectations that I've put on myself, right? Getting back to the basics and getting back to simplicity and what was my ideal, my original ideal. Helping people come home to their authenticity, come home to their heart, like the journey that I am on, have been on, and I'm grateful to be on. And the wisdom to know that I've always been supported and guided, always. And that I am still supported and guided in the present, and that I will always be supported and guided in my future. But by getting back to simplicity, sharing the journey, building these muscles of action and sharing a message, learning to have courage and be vulnerable, right? That is where it's at. So I am grateful for the teachings of the Gene Keys. I'm grateful to be on this beautiful journey of learning human design and learning how to vocalizing it in a way where I can share design with other people. I'm grateful that I have my Reiki 2 practitioner certificate, but that's not what this is about right now. It's about making it simple, continuing to step into my power, my authentic inner authority, which is my attraction sphere, stay rooted in my purpose of realism, understanding that realism, the shadow is limitation, and so I will often meet things with limitation, but what's important is that I rise above that. You know, my radiance of enrichment, but the shadow is distraction. So to remember to stay rooted in enrichment, and when I'm distracting from the real issue with my analytical mind, because my IQ is the practical mind, right? Of impatience to patience, and I think it's timelessness is the city. Just to understand these different aspects, and then you move from IQ, the practical mind, to my EQ. And my EQ, the shadow is failure, but the gift is preservation, right? And so to understand these really deeper aspects of my design, you know, I have lived in the shadow, and I am determined to live in the gift. And through that, pointing the finger back at me is starting to listen more clearly to the words coming out of my mouth. And the words entering my head. How am I speaking to myself? How am I verbalizing myself? Right? It's really important. We are what we think, right? That's science and mind teachings. Our thoughts create our reality, right? So, to conclude, I am going to continue my daily practice. I'm going to keep it simple, and I'm going to start creating content slowly. I'm going to get back to my core ideal. What is my longing for? My longing for is to share my journey, to share what's working for me, to practice being vulnerable, to practice being authentic. It's the whole point. Recently, I made the decision to start I'm the founder now, Authentic Hearts, Healing Arts, and throughout that, I will continue to step into these modalities. I will learn to vocalize them. I will continue learning to work with energy. The reason I originally got my certificate was to work back on myself, right? And somewhere along the way, I have lost sight of working on myself and thinking about how can I offer this to others. I absolutely want to offer it to others, but there's steps, right? And so I have to remember where I am as a sixth line, my 4-6 profile, right? I become the wise sage as time goes on. I can feel my heart racing. So I am going to conclude this, but I send blessings and love. If I could leave you with something, be kind to yourself. Listen to the words that you're speaking to yourself inside your head. Together, let's practice becoming our own inner loving parents, where it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to get lost in the weeds, but we always come back to center, right? We always come back to our authentic selves. We come back to the self-love journey, back home to the heart, back home to simplicity, back home to the breath. Okay,